Welcome to the Antonio Parkinson Project. I am Antonio Parkinson, and today we are talking about Diddy. We're also talking about the Baltimore Bridge. We're also talking about Tennessee State University, and we have in the house with us veteran Memphis journalist Otis Sanford in the building. And so y'all stick around, stay. We'll be right back. You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project. Welcome back to the Antonio Parkinson Project. I am Antonio Parkinson, and we have our wonderful co-host in the building, Angelika Geli Woods. Give it up for her.
Hey, barely made it. I made it in the nick of time.
Yeah, you did. And of course, we have our Angelika, what the hell is DJ Kojak?
Kojak and himself.
Kojak.
That didn't sound right.
Oh my!
Oh, that's not good, y'all.
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Wow. We got company in the building too.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, let's give it up for the veteran Memphis journalist himself. We're turning the cameras on him. Superstar Otis Sanford in the building. Yeah, baby, give it up for her. Angelika, you can't clap for the man. Jeez.
No, we did claps and ovation. I feel like I'm going to be
Man,
critiqued.
look.
Interviewing's going to be critiqued. Everything, content critiqued. You know, I got to be on my best behavior. Okay.
Yeah. We getting a chance to flip. Wait a minute. Hold up.
Yeah, I wish we could turn this camera right now. I'm gonna do my lip
Angelika,
gloss. I'm gonna do my lip gloss because he walking up in here.
Let's just look at him. And DJ Kojak in the building.
And then lied and said he was gonna go get his switchboard. Ain't got nobody's switchboard.
Ain't got nothing. Look, he gonna put the turntables up in the middle of the next segment.
I couldn't miss this one. Couldn't miss this
Right.
one. We got the man. We got the man.
Right.
You about
One and only.
Is that what it was?
Angelika, help me out now. Help me out. We just left the planning meeting on the patio.
We was doing real well.
We were. We all left at the same time.
We did.
We're all going to the same location.
Same location.
So tell me how.
You know, us is when the sun comes out, sometimes we just don't know how to behave. You know, little vitamin D, 73 degrees.
Oh, I'm telling you.
I don't know what's going on. He ain't got none of his equipment. He's late. He probably don't have any. He probably don't even know where he at.
Going in on.
See,
And
I had to do the most. I had to get a whole little makeup, natural, and he.
Angelika, and then his phone is loud.
His phone.
Otis, help us out, Otis.
Well, I mean, hey, look, I thrive on deadline, so I'm always on time.
Yeah, he was early. He is like early.
I'm not trying to bust you out.
Right.
No, you can't. It's okay.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. He can handle it. I said when he came in the studio, I was like, "You're on time." I'm not used to this. The set was quiet. I said everybody's on their best behavior. I said, "What is going on?"
Well, I don't know why that was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, man, and look, and our last two guests, Tammy Sawyer, shout out to Tammy Sawyer.
Hey, Tammy.
Was the latest. And Gail Carson came in with her heels on late. London came in late.
Fashionably late, though.
Fashion, is that what it is?
Yeah,
That's
You
what we
saving
call
them.
it.
That's so nice.
Right, yeah,
So
you're very
nice.
kind. Otis, you ain't got to save them, don't save them. They don't want to be saved. Right. Hey, and you know, it's sundress season, Angelika.
I know you mentioned it when we was on the patio. He was a little excited about it being sundress.
Well, you know, we are all happy about sundress season. That's why Kojak is late.
Oh, don't get him in trouble. The wife said, he said, "Oh no."
You know, hey, Otis, you know, it's sundress
No,
season.
don't
you
feed
know,
it.
Yeah.
Oh, did you say yeah? Don't feed into it.
Well, I mean, it is.
You got eyes too. I'm a man
It is
too.
what it
I got
is.
eyes.
It don't mean you're lusting because it's sundress season. It just means you're appreciative
Yeah.
of sundress season.
Exactly.
I am too. I like sundress season too.
You do? You like sundress season just
Yeah.
like y'all like gray sweat season? I mean, we don't.
I have nothing. I don't know nothing about that. I just like to throw on a dress, be breezy, and just carefree, you know, and wrinkled.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Diddy's in the news. Of course, this is the biggest thing that's out there right now in the news. I look at it as sad and unfortunate, honestly. You have an individual that's such an icon in the business, right? To be, for us to be hearing this kind of news about him, and of course, as the story goes, there's a young producer that was in there, and of course, let's go back. His former girlfriend Cassie, filed these charges. And
we talked about that too.
And it was an incredibly quick settlement for an incredible amount of money.
It's record settlement.
Yep. And then of course, other people came out, right, and started, making their accusations. But this young producer that was working in there, 73-page report, naming a lot of names, is pretty damning if it's true, because it's all alleged.
No, when you come up with 73 pages, that's a lot of lying. You got to have an art. You got to be you 73 pages of lies, y'all. Even if something's a lie, there's some truth in a lie. That's
there's
all
some
I
truth
say.
in a lie.
Yeah.
That's an Angelican.
Okay, y'all know exactly what I'm saying. Can we introduce Otis so he can? You get what I'm saying? Like, even when somebody tells a lie, there's a little truth in a lie. It may have been the story or the narrative may have changed a little bit, but there's some truth in a lie. Like I said, you heard what I said.
Oh, she said what she said.
I said what I said.
Okay, that's a new one for the glossary.
You know what? See, I like
truth and lies.
They act like I'm talking. They act like I'm talking a foreign language, but everybody's not on that level that we are on, Mr. Otis.
Otis, she's from Iowa, so it is foreign.
From Iowa.
Right.
Whatever.
Right. You're right. When she left, there were only 2 people that looked like her.
Whatever.
I can believe that about Iowa.
70 pages, y'all. That's a stretch.
That 73 pages is a lot now. It's very detailed.
Yeah.
It's very. Otis, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I obviously I have never been a big Diddy fan. I'll just be honest about it. Obviously, I keep up with what's going on.
Right.
But there has been a settlement, first of all. And as someone who covered federal courts and federal government and FBI as a reporter way back in the day,
Come on with the
it is extraordinary if you get your place raided. They're looking for evidence that they think is there, and they wouldn't be going because the judge had to approve it, a search warrant. Where there's smoke, there's some fire here. And so we'll just have to wait and see what comes out of this. But a federal raid means that there's something going on.
That's a lot, man. It's serious, man.
It's very serious.
Remember, we talked about this with Police Director C.J. Davis.
Yes.
Are you the feds or are you the police department?
Yes.
2 different levels.
2 different levels.
I think they already have what they need.
They already know what they're looking for.
And they just getting a little something to make it stick.
Right.
And they have to have, like he said, you have to have permission to go in there. Then the judge's not gonna let you go in there just on anything.
Right.
No.
Right.
So for them to go in there, they got something already.
And they know where to look.
They would want to hang you now.
And it's called probable cause.
Yeah.
So they go and they lay out to the judge a probable cause about what's going on, what they know or what they suspect has happened, and what they're looking for when they go in. The judge approves it. Diddy is in trouble.
Yeah, because some witnesses have come forward to say where the tapes are. They said they went in, they found videotapes, and the word is allegedly there are videotapes of people that are known in compromising situations, right? And then it's alleged that weapons were found in the house, and then it's alleged that an individual carrying drugs for him has been arrested also. And
he got arrested at the airport.
Right. Yeah. But some of the false stuff, there's a lot of false stuff out there also. They were saying that Diddy was caught flying off to somewhere, some island,
Caribbean,
right?
somewhere.
And Diddy was in Miami. He was in Miami,
jumping over a fence.
Right. Yeah. Cursing out the the feds, and there's all kind of stuff, all kind of narratives out there. And honestly, the internet he's broken the internet, and I'm sure to Beyonce's dismay. Because her album dropped last night, right?
I didn't stop nothing. I still worked and listened to the whole CD today, okay?
Oh, what did it sound like?
It's really good.
Really?
It's Beyonce.
Did you have some boots on when you listened?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I had some tennis shoes on and I was typing away.
Well, you didn't listen properly then.
I was listening.
Hey, if she ain't had no boots on and no Daisy
Really?
Dukes
Or
and
cowboy hat.
cowboy hat,
No.
she wasn't listening properly.
I was listening properly,
No,
but you know, a lot of people say with the Diddy, don't lose focus. It's an agenda because it's Easter weekend. I'm like, yo,
Is that what it is? Take that, take
Yeah.
that, take that.
See, I'm not about to play with you and Jesus. But
Man,
okay.
look, I'm not playing with Jesus. Don't even do it. Look, how you see how she tried to throw me under the bus
I
like
did.
that? Man, you know, but you know, look, you know, real talk, you know, I think it's important. We pray for all involved, man. You know,
Yeah.
because the victims, you know, while people are making light of this, there are possibly real victims whose lives will be affected for a very, very long time. And it sounds like it's a lot of victims.
But they didn't know they were being recorded.
Hey, there was some now. This
Because
dude,
how would they
this-
know how to look for a tape? I'm just
Hey,
saying. Somebody...
this dude that released the alleged tape of Diddy and Meek Mills,
That is, I listened to that. That is the first I wanted to throw up on my feet.
man.
And that was not, it's that's
It's
impossible.
hard to get it out of your head. I can tell you that if you listen to it. Yeah.
Mr. Otis, we're gonna let you listen to
I'm
him,
just
but
glad I
he's
don't
been-
cover that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But that's
Nightmares and dreams.
that's a really, really big deal though. You think about how much leverage he has in the industry, in
Yes.
the entertainment industry, not just the music industry, but the entertainment industry, you know, and this whole thing might open up some secrets to Biggie's death and some other things that you know what happens. You know, the feds tap in, they open up one thing and then it just opens up trails.
Right.
You know,
Follow the
different
money.
trails,
Right.
you know, different pathways to other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that his lawyer, you know, came out with such a heavy-handed statement talking about how this was a military style raid and we have never seen anything. Well, yes, we have. We've seen stuff like this before. I think that the protesting of the lawyer tells me that there was something there because they are mounting this kind of defense early on to me.
Yeah, saying that they didn't do it right. So you're trying to get well. First of all, you ain't Trump, you know. So your Trump raid may be
We're not
different than
talking-
Diddy's raid, you know. So you ain't Trump. We know. Come on now. Look, at the end of the day, man, folks forget,
Right.
you know, that hey, circumstances tend to be different.
Yeah.
You know, depending on who you are and what you come from, and you know, and what your stature is.
Yeah. Well, he was last seen with his daughters today, so they were out and about like nothing was going on. But they said his narrative now is a wholesome family man.
Well, hey, them handlers got on the quick.
That's a narrative he's putting out now. So hey, I wonder what his PR probably. I don't know what they doing.
Oh well, they
They're
apparently
in
told him.
crisis mode.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's beyond crisis. They in you know,
I would
do or die.
Yeah. I would guarantee you there are some new PR people on the case now that's been hired. Some of the best
Yes.
crisis
There should
managers.
be some
Yeah.
crisis managers.
Right. Where's
Yeah.
Kerry Washington at? Look.
Yeah, right. That's what we need. See, that's what we need.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Speaking of crisis, Tennessee State University is in the news, right? Because just yesterday they vacated the entire board of the one and only HBCU land grant institution in the state of Tennessee, and there was a lot of conversation about that, and there's I think there's more that's going to come out in regards to Tennessee State University's board being vacated, and that's a big deal. That's a really, really big deal because you're talking about wiping out the entire governing board of a university of one of two land grant institutions, and rewiping their board in the middle of the presidential search.
Right.
On what grounds?
Right.
Yeah. So court. So here's the backstory, right? There was a committee commissioned by the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, to find out, because there were accusations saying that Tennessee State University has not received the fair amount of money that they were supposed to be receiving based on federal law. Right. Federal law back from, I think, 1912 or somewhere back then said that the feds would send money to University of Tennessee and Tennessee State University. University of Tennessee was supposed to get 75 cents on the dollar. TSU, 25 cents on the dollar. Right. That's something in itself. But anyway, we don't talk about that.
Right.
But since 1912, Tennessee State, University of Tennessee has been receiving all of their money, plus some, right?
Right.
And Tennessee State University hadn't been receiving any of it or very, very little for all of those years. So the amount of money that came out of this commission, now keep in mind, there are two different pots of money they're saying Tennessee State University is owed. But the amount of money that came out of this state commissioned report said $544 million or $500 million owed to Tennessee State University. Well, here's what's interesting. 2 years ago, the state of Tennessee, the governor, he signed the budget and we passed the budget that put $250 million into Tennessee State's coffers. Right. And that's when the fight began. Uh-oh. So it wasn't until after that $250 million was allocated that all of these audits were commissioned, and all of a sudden they start finding all of this wrongdoing once that $250 million went into Tennessee State University's hands. And then and watch this. It's been 5 state commissioned audits. One of them, the last of which, was budgeted for $2 million. Let me say that again.
For an audit?
For an audit. The state put up $2 million to audit the black HBCU because they were looking for something criminal, and there was nothing criminal found.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And so now that audit dropped yesterday. No one was really talking about the findings of the audit because there was no criminal stuff found. Now, there were some mistakes found, but this is like, operational. You didn't have a policy.
You
for
can
this,
make honest mistakes. Everything is not intentional.
Listen, let me tell you something. If you spend $2 million on an audit, I don't give a damn how good you are. You're gonna find some mistakes.
Yeah.
Of course. $2 million? Of course. Right. You hear me? $2 million.
You better find some mistakes.
We
better find them.
We paid for them fines.
It was over, and I may have these numbers wrong, over 8,000 emails searched. Going through over 20,000 documents. Going through. This is a straight up forensic audit of this HBCU, and University of Tennessee has never gone through anything like that. University of Tennessee had their board vacated one time, but it was because the governor was changing the structure of all of the universities, and he vacated the board because UT wanted him to, and then they quickly put it back in order. But this treatment has never been done to any other university in the state of Tennessee, and it's incredibly disparate in what it appears. Yeah,
I just think it's total overreach. First of all, and you have to look at the specter of race here. I saw a quote from one of your Republican colleagues complaining about money that was given to Tennessee State, and they use it for excessive scholarships, and to the point where they didn't have dorm rooms for students, so they were putting students in hotels.
Right.
He was complaining about it.
Right.
But UT did the same thing.
Right.
UT had students in hotels.
Right.
That's right, right?
That's absolutely right.
So,
painted it orange and called it the volunteer inn.
Right. So
the same time too, at the same exact time.
I didn't realize it was at the same time.
Same exact time.
But they don't say anything about that.
Right.
So I just, this is another example of a legislature, and God knows I have been really tough on this legislature.
Right.
This is another example of this legislature being so, a kind word is heavy-handed, but a bad word here is just being plain out racist.
And me.
Use the bad word. Yeah. Use the bad word.
So that's what I see here. And not just on this Tennessee State thing, but on a host of things. They have a takeover mentality on everything. They want to take over. They want to run it. They did the same thing with Nashville. Yeah. They trying to do the same thing with Memphis. They did the same thing with a whole host of things. Yeah. So I just have no real respect, unfortunately, for the Republican-controlled legislature.
Yeah, and
I'm not talking about everybody.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and absolutely, because everybody, there are some good members on the Republican side of the Tennessee legislature. There actually are. But it's interesting because the the worst thing, what they hate most is being called racist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, are you
They can't stand that.
Oh man, you think you set somebody's grandmother on fire, right? You know, but here's the thing, and I try to be careful not to say that because I don't want my mic cut off, right? You know, but okay, let's not call you racist, but let's talk about the disparate treatment, the differences in how you treat one entity that's doing the same exact thing as the other entity. Right. We won't. I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke.
What? What?
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Right. Yeah, and so that's unfortunate. It's so sad that we're even having this conversation because and I had a conversation with the speaker who I'm friends with, right? You know, today, you know, and just reiterated to him that we cannot have a real legitimate conversation about Tennessee State University and their misgivings or their missteps or their shortcomings without having the conversation about the fact that it's $544 million missing from them. that y'all did.
Yeah, y'all making mistakes. Y'all got mishaps.
I mean, if $544 million was in there, we wouldn't have a housing crisis.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we would because UT's getting all of their money. They still got a housing crisis.
True.
Right? And if $544 million was in there, we wouldn't be talking about an issue with a policy because maybe they can hire the person to get the policy done.
Yeah.
You know, you got an HBCU, Otis, that has been robbing Peter to pay Paul for decades. So you squeeze the money out of them and then you blame them for not being perfect.
Right. That's exactly.
And they're not
what I see.
perfect. They're not
Right.
perfect. So
Well,
how you
I mean,
gonna
all universities, you know, as big as they can be, they have issues they have to deal with.
Right.
Certainly, UT is no different.
Right.
I imagine that Middle Tennessee State is no different. I know the University of Memphis has financial issues itself, but you know they are making Tennessee State a public example here,
Right.
in a very unfair way. And you know, I understand your reluctance to use the racism term because I mean you still got to deal with them.
Right.
I don't have to deal with them.
Right.
And
You're
so
right.
I will call it like I call it. And this has a very strong stench of racism on it. And that's the way I see it.
And I don't disagree with you now.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. I've called him racist many times. In fact, I'm on the video. He called us. I mean, on the secret recording, he called us racist. He's not our friend. I'm on. They were talking about Antonio Parkinson,
Okay.
right? But you know, but here's the thing. Here's what I've learned about, you know, it tends to lump everybody in the same boat, right? Now, coming from me. Now, I ain't talking about you now.
Yeah.
Coming from me, it tends to lump everybody that's on the Republican side in the same boat, and that's just absolutely not the case. Because I was calling some of the names when I was speaking on Tennessee State University yesterday, talking about the Sam Whitsons and you know some of these other folks that I know are good people, right? You know, but they cut me off from calling the names, right? Because I was moving them boats over when I was calling the names too.
Oh,
The speaker
okay.
was like, Representative Parkinson, you can't call names. All right, I said, okay.
So how many Republicans voted against it in the House?
You know, the majority of them did, but we pulled over about five of them that you know voted. Here's the interesting thing, y'all. This is something that I think the public should know. Most of the time, in a lot of these cases, the majority of them folks don't even be knowing what we're talking about.
I believe it.
I mean, and seriously, they're just going with their partisan
Yeah.
directive.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Oh, I believe that.
Yeah. So they're going
Same
with the
thing
partisan
happens in
directive.
Congress.
Oh, absolutely.
That's scary, and that's scary. They making decisions for people's lives, and don't you know what's going on.
You're absolutely right, Angelika.
Yeah, that's
It affects everyone's lives. You know, but you know, you look at some of them bills in Congress, though, man. It'd be so convoluted.
Right.
I don't know how anybody keep up with what's in the bill, man. You got a bill that says dog food is going to be 10% off, and yet, you know, we're going to legalize marijuana, and we're going to do this, that, you know, gun control, and this, that, and other, all in the same bill.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're a little bit different. Ours don't work that way, but because we got to fit inside the captions. But yeah. But look, we're going to come back, man. We're going to talk about the mayor of Baltimore. We're going to talk about the bridge collapse in Baltimore. and the fact that there was an individual who's famous now because he said, "Here is your DEI mayor of Baltimore." And so we're gonna break down what DEI means when we come back. So we'll be right back. You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
It wasn't me and you together, supposed to be forever. Plus we were lit together, pop out matching Gucci sweater. It wasn't thinking, telling, no when they see us they jealous. I took you through some, but you still got me through whatever. I can't answer why you won't leave. You think he better than me? No, I kept it too screen. Can't find no better than me. Mama told me say what I love. My bro say let her just be. I can't keep going back and forth. I should just let her go free. Cause if you stay then go on and on and on, trying to tell me I'm wrong, cause I did not make it home.
What's up, y'all? It's Senator London Lamar, and you're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Welcome back to the Antonio Parkinson Project. I am Antonio Parkinson, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Angelika Geli Woods.
Yes. Hey, I was sneezing. The pollen in the air is strong too.
And you know, Michelle's going to catch that sneeze if you are sneezing.
Look, nah, she don't have fun. She don't catch it.
Oh, okay.
She's slipping. She don't catch it.
DJ Kojak in the building. Finally, scratch it up for him 4 times, Kojak. Hey, Otis, you did hear that scratch, didn't you?
I heard it.
Okay, look, man, he catches on quick.
My guy.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Otis Sanford in the building. Y'all give it up for him. Yeah, man. We're excited to have him, man. Look, first of all, thank you for being here. I don't even know if I said that. Excuse my man.
What's that?
It's the Mountain Dew that we're drinking. Angelika drinks Mountain Dew too.
Oh,
Now, I have something to say, Mr. Otis. Now, you're in the studio, and you're an honest man. Do you see me drinking anything besides water?
No.
Thank you. All right. We get that? Can we please clip that? Can we please clip that?
Will be on the cutting room floor.
He's not going to clip it. See? They don't see? Thank you.
Call it
Mr.
like I see it.
Thank
or
you.
don't
Thank you,
see
Mr.
it.
Otis.
Hey, Otis, this is one
Thank you.
time. The
Okay,
one time.
see?
That's because she had
Had a what? You can say it. What I had?
what she had when we was at lunch today, Kojak.
Man, what did you?
He
what
don't
did you-
even know.
Tropical Long Island.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it was more of a mocktail.
Crickets.
It was. They just can't. They cannot stand it. It's okay. It's okay. It was a mocktail. Was.
We appreciate Polly Pierhart because she, but listen, it's the strangest thing happened, right? You know, we all woke up to this news that a cargo boat, ran into the bridge in Baltimore, and then we watched the bridge collapse.
That's
Completely
scary.
underwater.
That's scary.
Watched it on television.
Right, with cars on the
Incredible.
bridge.
Yeah.
And workers on the bridge.
Scary.
Right.
Unbelievable. But how, what just, you know, of course, aside of the lives, right, that are being affected, the fact that that bridge went down so easily is scary. And you got people driving across this bridge every single day.
Yes.
Thousands of people.
Thousands of people. Yeah. And it goes to show, you know, that our infrastructure in the country is dilapidated. Yeah. So give me some thoughts on that. Jump in there.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead first. Okay.
Well, I mean, there's so much to talk about with this. First of all, you talk about the infrastructure needs. We certainly have that.
Right.
We had one of the biggest cargo ships around that was heavily laden with stuff. That lost steering, it lost power, it lost everything, and it was heading directly for that pillar. But there are some positive things to take out of this. First of all, they saw what was happening and they did a mayday. They radioed people, and it just so happened that they did it just enough time to get the local police to close off both sections of the bridge.
Okay.
This is Interstate 695, I believe.
Yeah.
And so there were fewer cars on there. Of course, this was 1:30 in the morning or sometime like that. And so there would have been fewer cars, but there were a lot fewer cars because of the police interaction here.
Yeah.
The sad thing about this is, again, the loss of life. You had 6 men who were working on the bridge, filling potholes, who perished. And it can't be lost on me, Antonio. And I brought this up in my television stuff over the weekend. It's not lost on me that every one of those workers were immigrants. every one of them were immigrants who they've been in the country a long time. You know, they're from Guatemala, Mexico, and places like that. But they are doing the work, filling potholes in the middle of the night to keep everybody else safe. But they were immigrants. And I can't help going back to your legislature.
Going back.
Just an hour or two before this happened, the state Senate passed this bill that basically forces the local police to help round up immigrants and kick them out of the country. So, again, that's an aside to this, but I couldn't help but say that. Let me say one other quick thing. The positives also were that the mayor, and you're going to talk about the mayor, and the governor, his name is Wes Moore, he has performed tremendously, galvanizing the resources and getting everybody together to address this issue. And you have to give credit to the White House and the Biden administration, too, for jumping right in, because this port is one of the biggest, if not the biggest port in America for shipping cars and other things, trucks in and out of the country.
Yeah, let's talk about that. $191 million per day in economic development coming through this port. It's been halted now because this bridge is causing the traffic not to be able to go through there. But let me say that again. $191 million per day. That's stopped. That's halted right now. And 8,000 jobs.
Right.
8,000 jobs at that port.
Good paying jobs, too, because we're talking longshoremen here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so this is a major catastrophe. Angelika.
No, I have a question. Don't talk about me. Is it one of those bridges that move?
Like a drawbridge? No.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Okay, I was.
This is kind of like our old bridge.
Yeah, okay.
It's like our old. Matter of fact, it kind of looked like our old.
I thought it was.
When I first
thought it was our bridge falling.
Wait a minute.
I was making sure it was, because they do have a bridge that
Right.
move where they pass through.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was one of those
No, it
bridges
wasn't
or
a
not.
drawbridge.
And there was somebody driving the boat, correct?
Well, I mean, actually, they had a local pilot who helps ships like this navigate out of the channel. But this is an international ship,
Right.
based in some other country. I can't remember where it came from, but they were heading to, like, I think Sri Lanka or something, someplace like
somewhere,
that.
Yeah. But which
Is
I
there-
ain't a conspiracy theorist, but
Well,
come on.
no,
we don't have no conspiracy with Diddy.
anything.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
But as another side note, you can go down so many pathways with this, right? So, there's an individual, he's famous on Twitter now. He wasn't before, but he is now. He figured I guess he wanted to be famous, right? So he says he screenshots the mayor of Baltimore, who's a young brother, right?
Yeah.
And shout out to the mayor of Baltimore. And
Right.
and he says, "Here is your DEI mayor of Baltimore." So everybody know what DEI is?
No, we
Yeah.
can act like we don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no. For the people who don't
Okay.
know.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay. I know what it meant, but I'm trying
what
for the
they're
listeners.
saying is right. Well, for the public.
Yeah,
for
we
the
can't
public.
assume.
Right,
Yeah, we
for
know.
the public. And so he was saying, here is your diversity, equity, and inclusion mayor. Basically saying that he's only the mayor because of DEI, right? And so that apparently has become the new buzzword for the N-word. So without saying the N-word. And Twitter is lit up because of the statement that was made by this individual. Come on, y'all.
But could he be lying? He might have been hired to check a box.
He
Well, he
That
was
is-
elected.
elected.
He was
I'm just
elected.
okay.
Yeah.
He could have been. Let me go around. How he got there in the first place? I guess they do factor, right? They do. They think of diversity. I'm not saying that it's right.
They're coming after you.
Okay, I'm done because he gonna clip. That's all he gonna clip. He ain't gonna set me up.
I'm not gonna clip you, Angelika.
Yes, but
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying? Like some people do let people run, or endorse people based on saying, okay, let's just throw them in there so there's diversity.
That's a really valid
Let's
point.
just throw them in there just to say we're being equal. We're doing this. I'm from Iowa. Yes, they do a lot of things to check box, give money just so they can check a box.
I'm from
being
Iowa.
honest.
Of course, we elect black folks just because.
Yeah,
they're
they
black.
might. They do. Or let them go to school. Yeah, I went to University of Iowa. My grades were not the best, but I knew that I was going to get a pass because I was black and they needed to check a box. I'm just being honest. I did that.
That's actually a very valid point. So
I
guess you won't
did.
get
So
clipped.
yeah, thank
I
you.
guess
See,
won't
I
get
look at me
clipped, though.
crazy, but
Yeah,
that's
right,
true.
But the mayor, that young brother is smart. Very smart young brother. He flipped that DEI and called it, yes, the duly elected incumbent.
Oh, I love that comeback.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was quick.
But that
It was.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But that's apparently the new word for without saying it,
Now
we'll
you
be-
might as well go and say it.
We'll be hearing that a lot now.
Right.
We better
I,
not.
I was thinking about getting me a T-shirt that said DEI representative.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Duly elected incumbent. I love that.
Yeah,
I love
man.
it.
Shout out to the mayor of Baltimore, man. We're
Yeah.
praying with all of the families and
Yes.
the citizens of Baltimore. I got a niece that's in Baltimore. Shout out to my niece Tiffany Stripling and one of my favorite cousins and mentor. His name is Otis too.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
call him OD. So shout out to everybody. First thing I did was checked on them. You check on your folks now, man. 'Cause
Oh,
you
yeah.
never know, man.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
all these things that are happening. So
Yeah.
But that's a really, really, really big deal.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
And speaking of big deals, you like how I do these segues?
Nah,
I
you
sound
do
like
a great
professional,
job.
man.
Do not tell him that. Otis,
Speaking of
okay?
big deals, I think it's $1.3 billion in the lottery win or somewhere close to that.
Yeah.
1.3 billion with the B, y'all. And somebody won it
Was it
Did
out of
they?
New Jersey?
out of New Jersey. Yep.
Otis, do
somebody
you play the
won it.
lottery?
Every now and then, but I didn't play it this time, and I hadn't played it in a while because when I look at the odds of being 1 in quintillion, I just say,
Yeah,
forget it.
Tell that to that dude in Jersey.
Well, that's right. I agree.
Billion. I wonder after taxes how much you still would take home. I know it's still ridiculous, but
Hey, he living.
Right, that whoever it is.
Whoever it is.
I wouldn't be like, can I be anonymous? Put a mask on my head because people they're gonna be coming back, and I already know.
I already call myself your cousin, so don't ask.
No, that's right. They're gonna be coming. No,
Right. And I think I don't know if New Jersey is one of them places that you have to identify yourself.
Right, I don't know either.
Or if you can.
it's Tennessee.
I have no. Nobody from Tennessee wins.
Well, no,
so we gotta worry
not
about
that kind
Never?
of money.
Right. No, they
Not
do,
that
they do,
kind of
But
money.
I'm not. Not that. Ain't nobody gonna win 1.3 billion. Win.
Really?
No.
They hadn't yet.
I don't know.
You gotta have East Coast accent or something like that. Yeah. Or live in Northern California somewhere to win like that. So
Sounds
God.
like
yeah. But look. But speaking of which, okay. So let's say our people. We we win the lottery, right?
Your cousins.
5 things black people do when they win the lottery. Come on, Otis.
5 things.
5 things only us now
Come
that
on
we
now.
would do.
Okay.
when we win
Not
the
you,
lottery.
Otis. We're gonna put a disclaimer.
Yeah,
Not
Well,
you.
I'm just
Black
saying,
folks,
you're
right?
just throwing it out there. 5 things that people do.
Yeah, give me one. Just give me one. No,
But-
not people. Black people.
Buy the most expensive car that you can find.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yep,
Very
yep,
true.
Yep.
Very
Yeah,
true.
that's one.
Buy their mama a house.
And buy
Buy
their mama.
They mama.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. DJ Kojak, 5 things black folks do when they win the lottery.
Open a record label.
Man,
Open a record.
Open a record label.
yes,
Is it really?
yes,
Oh yeah.
yes.
Oh, what
I didn't realize.
All in the
Thank
videos.
Thank you, Otis. You see, I've been missing you. Nah, they be acting like I'm just.
Speaking of Diddy, right? All in the video. Right,
Take
man,
that. Take
man.
that.
Right.
Open a record label for what?
And look, hey. Another thing is, they have a party.
Oh
They
yeah.
have a party. They have a party,
You
right?
said-
They gonna
Right.
party.
They gonna have a party and floss and flex in front of all the folks in the hood.
No question.
Right.
Nobody said paid off no debt, but
No,
okay.
right. Ain't paid nothing yet.
You pay your student loans back.
Yeah.
Man,
What about take a trip and take everybody you like with you?
man?
Yeah.
Pay for
Oh, yeah.
everybody trip.
Pay for
Ballin'.
everybody.
Buy everybody a chain.
Right,
you know,
right.
Maybe
Yeah.
a cruise.
Put your folks
If
on.
they go on cruise.
Yep.
Give them some businesses. You know, put them on. You're
Give
gonna
all
put somebody
your folks
on.
some money. Give
Give
all
all
your
your
friends
folks
some
some-
money. Their
yeah.
little buddies some money. Yep.
What should they do? What's
Man,
5 things they should?
Get a
thing they
financial
should do is
person for their
find them-
portfolio. Get a
Yes,
portfolio.
indeed. Yes, indeed. Give me one that they should do.
Invest.
Yeah.
Start
Okay.
investing.
Start
Yeah,
investing.
Absolutely.
Is that one of the first things they should do?
They gonna get
Well,
mad when
it's
they
one of
tithe.
the good. If we're talking about good things, that's one of the good things. You should
So, interesting. We talked about this in another episode, talked about a framework to understanding poverty, right? By Dr. Ruby Payne. And she talks about that, right? And was it Rich Dad, Poor Dad? One of them talked about that in the book too, about, you get an individual that wins the lottery and then within a year they are in worse debt than they were before they won these millions.
Richest man in Babylon.
Right. There go Kojak again, Angelika. Talk about this richest man in Babylon. We know that book don't even exist.
Right, we're gonna look it up. Look at his face. Look at his face. I'm googling it right now. Let me see.
Look, Angelika, last time I was talking about East Square, she said, yeah, that's richest man in Babylon.
Right. I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna Google it for real though.
Yeah, but seriously, that they need those mentors, that can be in place, to make sure that money is not squandered and it is invested properly.
It is invested.
But speaking of books, we got an author in the building.
I was wondering when you were going to get around to that.
And then he gonna leave you hanging. We'll be right back.
Right. That's the end of that discussion.
Yeah, actually, we are not going to talk about it right now. We are going to go to break. We're going to come back and talk to Otis Sanford about his book and the other things that he's working on. We'll be right back. You're watching Antonio Parkinson.
Grab a backwood and roll up. Grab your cup and let pour up. They didn't want us round it first, but now they act like they know what. Hey, but they show love, yeah, we show out when we show up. I don't even do the liquor, that shit might make me throw up. But we turned up, this the after party. Shit grabbing on my body. White girl got a bottle in the club, and that going all it. Turned up in a wreck the party. We just brought out everybody. No, we got our have some fun. We at the after party.
I'm CJ Davis, Memphis Chief of Police, and you are watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
From Boss Crump to King Willie, he is a bestseller to African Americans with his historic book. And y'all make sure y'all go out and get it. It's From Boss Crump to King Willie, authored by our guest Otis Sanford. Give it up for him again. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Bestseller,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Bestseller.
Yes.
Hey, now Otis, this, obviously this has to be a good book. I hadn't had a chance to read, but I'm going to read. Is it on Audible by chance? You up on Audible?
I have not done all.
Okay, we got to do that. Well, we got
You have the voice. You have the voice to do
That's
it.
not a bad idea.
You have the voice to do it.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
You do.
It really does.
You can listen to your
I've
voice.
been thinking about doing it for quite a while, and just hadn't done it.
Okay, so we're gonna have to make that happen because I'm a big Audible fan. And look, hey Rico, we're gonna get Brother Sanford in the studio and go and get this audio version of this book From Boss Crump to King Willie done. So all of us that travel and listen to Audible, we can have it narrated, and Michelle, have it narrated by Otis Sanford himself. Otis, we just want a little small cut. We just want a cut, just a little small.
That's what he should have started. That's what he should have started.
Right.
That's what he should
90110
have started with.
Studios. Right. Shout out to 90110 Studios. Pull up if you want to get your audio book done.
Are they a sponsor?
Right. They are 901. Absolutely, they are. So tell us about the book, man.
Yeah.
Obviously a good read.
Well, I'm very proud of it, first of all. And the subtitle really explains what we're talking about here. And the subtitle is How Race Changed Memphis Politics.
Man, that says something.
From the two most influential, other than Antonio Parkinson.
Ain't that
Oh, no,
that was so nice.
I'm still wearing diapers compared to them guys right
That's
there.
so nice.
The two most influential political figures in the history of the city. Boss Crump, who ran this city for 50 years. He was the boss. And while he didn't serve in office all that long, he decided who was in office. Kingmaker from the governor all the way down to the mayor. And so the book chronicles not their whole life stories, but it chronicles what was going on in Memphis and why they put their trust in Boss Crump for 50 years, all the way to Dr. Harrington, Willie Harrington, who was elected mayor in 1991 and is the longest serving mayor in the history of the city. So that's the book. I mean, it covers pretty much everything from the election of Harold Ford first to Congress in 1974. It covers certainly the assassination of Dr. King in 68 and how that started to change the population of Memphis that allowed Dr. Harrington to be elected in 1991 because the demographics changed.
Explain that. Let me pause you right there. Explain how. Two questions off the top for me.
Sure.
One, what's the difference in the leadership styles between Boss Crump and Willie Harrington? Right. Number two, how did the death of Martin Luther King change the demographics in Memphis?
Well, all right. Actually, and Dr. Harrington wouldn't like me saying this, but there are little similarities between Boss Crump and Willie Harrington in that both were very sure of themselves, had a touch of arrogance about them. But Boss Crump saw African Americans as someone, as people to that he could use to stay in power, because he would not have been in power had it not been for Black folks voting for him. And there are a lot of reasons why Black people voted for Boss Crump and his candidates. And
give us some of that, because I want to hear that. Come on.
Well, I'll give you one quick.
So they got to get the book now. They can give you everything.
Right. Oh, they gonna buy this book after this. Look, they finna buy.
Well,
there's
there's one incident that I think helps define just how Boss Crump was able to get Black voters. And it happened back in 1914. Black people could not go to the city parks. They were not allowed. They had their own park, Church Park.
And what year is this again?
This is 1914.
1914. Okay.
Boss Crump was the mayor at that time. And Black folks could not go to any other parks except Church Park down on Beale Street. That was started by Robert Church.
Man, I bet the Church Park was live back then.
Oh, it was. It was jumping.
If we had to go there, Church Park would have to
it was jumping. But Black folks wanted, they were paying taxes like everybody else. They wanted their own park. Well, the City Park Commission, run by a guy named Robert Galloway, and you know the name Galloway around here. Galloway Park, Galloway Golf Course. It's named after Robert Galloway.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He was the Park Commission chairman. He said, no, Black folks don't need a park. All you're going to do is get out there and frolic and run around. You don't need a park. Boss Crump says, if they want a park, let's give them a park. And he said, no, we're going to give Black folks a park. Now, the park was in Douglas.
Oh,
it was Douglas Park.
Wow.
Now, back then, Douglas was way out of the city, though.
Right.
And you had to go by buckboard and all kind of ways to get there.
Yeah.
It was way out in the middle of nowhere back in 1914, but Black people were so happy to get that park.
Man, Douglas Park.
That endeared them to Boss Crump.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Douglas Park was the very first park for African Americans in what became the city of Memphis.
My God.
Okay, look at you teaching Parkinson.
That made
He know everything.
That made Juneteenth, even because Juneteenth was at Douglas Park.
That's where it started. That's where it started. It's still there.
Juneteenth. That was one of the reasons why, if you go and talk to people who were at the beginning of Juneteenth, they'll probably tell you that they knew that it had that kind of historical value to it. But that was just one. That's just one of the things that Boss Crump did to endear himself to Black people. And then, of course, Dr. Harrington, Black folks had always wanted a seat at the table.
Right.
Always wanted to have some voice in government, just to be appointed to boards and stuff like that. But white folks said, no, we're not going to do that. And it was the 1990 census. You were asking me about Dr. King.
I just got
Dr. King's death. White people left the city in droves. That's why we have Collierville. So that's why we have Bartlett, Germantown, and certainly DeSoto County started to grow. White folks left the city of Memphis and went to those places. The demographics changed and flipped. In 1990, that was the first year that Black folks made up a majority of the city.
Yeah, I just got here. I was one of them.
You were just getting here? Okay.
I literally just moved to Memphis.
Well, it was 1990 census that did it.
My first vote was for Dr. Harrington.
And that's why Black folks said, this is our chance. And Dr. Harrington is our guy. Because of, you probably know that it took a a real protest to get him to be superintendent.
Okay.
They were not going to give him the superintendent because the 6 whites on the school board wanted somebody from Grosse Pointe, Michigan.
Wow.
And the black folks stood up and said, no, Dr. Harrington is our man.
Right.
He's the deputy superintendent. He's been groomed for the job.
Right.
The white guy from Grosse Pointe said, I don't want the job.
Right.
I don't want to come down
Hey,
here.
and history repeats itself. You remember they tried to do the same thing with Rhonda Logan.
There you go.
With her appointment, bring a white guy in from Mississippi to be the city council person for Raleigh.
That's exactly
wow.
right.
For Raleigh.
never knew
Exactly
that.
right.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
That's
They shouldn't know.
exactly right.
As you tell.
They should have known better.
Right.
That's exactly.
And it's such a gross, latent attempt, right?
It was.
I mean, seriously.
It was.
And you know, and you know, Angelika, she's just like myself. She's an import, right? From, to Memphis, and you know, she may not be aware, and a lot of people, especially these newer audience, might not be aware of everything that happened on election night for Dr. Harrington.
Oh yeah.
Is that in the book?
People who live
Oh
there
yeah.
might not
Oh
be
yeah.
aware.
Touch on that, man.
The last chapter. The last chapter is called "The Election."
Right. Okay.
That's when the book ends.
Yeah, okay.
It ends with the election of Dr. Harrington, who won only by 172 votes
Over Dick Hackett.
over Dick Hackett.
Can't hack it no more.
It was the closest
was the thing.
election. It was the closest election since Boss Crump's very first election in 1909.
Wow.
He won by 27 votes.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
But on election night, it was nip and tuck. Harold Ford was he. You can say what you want about the relationship that they have had over the years,
Right.
But he was
It was a
all
good
in
one at that
Dr. Harrington's corner then,
Yep.
and he helped get the vote out on election night. He showed up at the election commission, saying, "What's wrong? What's going on here with these votes? Why are you taking so long?" I mean, he caused a big stir.
Right.
O.C. Pleasance was the election commissioner. And when he started tallying up things, and he announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new mayor."
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
really him.
Yeah. There were some ballots found.
There were.
Yeah.
Well, and again, it was 172 vote difference. Now, another thing that's in the book, the incumbent mayor at that time, Dick Hackett, his people wanted him to challenge it because it was so close. He decided not to challenge it. And he never said why until he told me why for the book.
Oh, well, now we got to read the
So
book.
now you got to read
Now
the book.
that's the ultimate cliffhanger. Okay, I thought
That's
Parkinson
right.
was bad at now.
He told me
I
why.
want to know why.
Wow. That's big.
Man,
That's
but
awesome.
that you have it's interesting, Otis, and I want to pair you with DJ Spanish Fly and some others because your ability to pull that history, right, is so vitally important. But what we're missing right now, we talked about this on the show, right, is that we need to pull that music history too, all the way up to this point. So there's an idea for you, and I want to plug you with the right people so that we can capture it before these people are not with us anymore. Right. Because it's the dynamic music history of Memphis changed the entire game, especially in hip hop and rap. And it's a different animal now. Yeah. But this is awesome. I can't wait. I cannot wait to get in it from Boss Crump to King Willie.
You're awesome.
Written by Otis Sanford. We're gonna make it best sell again.
That's
right. Yeah. So y'all make sure
Appreciate
y'all make sure y'all get that and look for the audio version because we're gonna push them on this audio version. Yeah.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
I'm a big history person, right? I am a big history.
Too.
I love history, right? Good. And that's one of the things that I tell my colleagues up there in the state legislature. They say, all of the Confederate symbolism is about history, and it is. It's about some history, right? And it's about a bad history, right? In our country, but nonetheless, it's a dynamic history of our country, right? There's a book I read and called "White Trash: 400 Years of Classism in America." Did you read that book yet?
I haven't read it.
You got, man. I will buy it for you. You got to read that book, man. So it'll take you. It takes you all the way from George Washington, the colonial days, right, all the way up to Obama. And it's so interesting our patterns culturally or nationally, right? And then you got your patterns, state, local, and then even in your household, right? But our patterns culturally as a nation have not changed, right? It's the same cyclic, set of circumstances that perpetuates itself for generations.
Yeah.
Did you see that or some form of that in the book as you were doing your homework for the book?
Oh, absolutely. I saw it because the book traces. It actually goes back to at the end of the Civil War with the Memphis massacre.
Oh,
because that had a major impact on the city. Then we go from there to what happened at the People's Grocery when Ida B. Wells was here, and they lynched her friends from the People's Grocery, and that so all the things that happened in the city, terrible things, still did not prevent Black folks from coming here and wanting to live in the city, coming from the plantations, the ones who didn't go to Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit, Cleveland, and Milwaukee. They stopped in Memphis because they could have a good time down on Beale Street if nothing else. And that continued, that perpetuated itself, continuing on and on and on to the point. And Memphis had a lot of Black wealth. Or certainly a strong Black middle class, starting with the church family. But it wasn't just them. They had Black doctors, they had Black lawyers, they had Black dentists, they had other Black business owners. And so Memphis was never this hotbed of pure unrest until Dr. King's assassination, really. But the young people at the schools, Lemoyne College and Owen Junior College, they were the first ones to say, we want our rights. And we're going to sit in for our rights. And they got arrested for it. And that, again, that's part of this a cyclical thing that you were talking about with white folks saying, look, I'm getting out of the city. Y'all trying to get equality here, and I don't want to have anything to do with that.
God forbid we do that.
So God forbid we do that. So I'm going to Collierville. I'm going to South Haven. I'm going to Olive Branch, and y'all can have it. And
I don't mind having it. But interesting point that you raised though about the successes of the businesses that were in the city at the time, right? And but at the time now, let's examine this. At the time, we were forced to do business with our own because of segregation.
Absolutely.
Right?
Come on.
And so let me ask you this question.
Come on.
Did desegregation hurt or harm the Black community?
That's a really great question.
Yes, sir.
And that's
I love
a
turning
whole
the table on
program.
you. Yes,
That's
sir.
a whole
Yeah.
program in and of itself, Antonio. I think in a lot of ways it did hurt. Because it hurt Black businesses that we're talking about here. Not all of them. I mean, you got a lot of funeral homes that do quite well, and insurance companies.
Well, that might be the wrong business to applaud. That's doing,
well, that's true. I agree with that.
They're doing well for a reason.
I agree with that. But
yeah,
I think in some respects, desegregation did hurt Black businesses, but it also hurt Black educational institutions. I think it hurt Black HBCUs. I mean, I'm the youngest of 7. And my older brothers and sisters, 5 of them were not allowed to go to white schools. I did. I went to Ole Miss, but they weren't allowed to go to Ole Miss when they came along. And so they went to, that was a college that doesn't even exist anymore, Mississippi Industrial College in Holly Springs. It's now part of Russ College now. But it dissolved because when Black folks could go to the white colleges, it hurt those historical Black colleges. So I think in a lot of ways, desegregation hurt some businesses because now Black folks thought, well, I'm going to go over here to the white person.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
But I'm visual, and so I see this as a situation. You got these white folks in the country club, and you got the smart, quiet one who got a lot of money. You just sitting back, listening to everybody else just banter, right? And then you got the idiot of the bunch who's doing the most talking, and it's like, you can't let these N-words, come over and and sit at our counters and this, that, and other, right? And the quiet, rich one, the one from wealth, the smart one, sitting back listening, not saying anything. Then he finally says, Bubba, shut the fuck up. Right? He said, let them come. Because when they come, they bring their money and they bring their resources. Let them come.
I think that's a good point.
And
that's a good point.
you know, because one thing I've learned in being a legislature, you know, it just opens your eyes to so much stuff, is that, you know, popular opinion and policy is always built around somebody receiving some financial benefit in the end. It ain't never an accident. It's never an accident, and it's always orchestrated in most cases, right? With somebody or one individual or somebody's that's gonna make a windfall of money because they changed something.
I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Let me say one other quick thing.
Man, it takes time. Go ahead.
And this is you will appreciate this because this gets into raw politics here. You have to remember that in the early part of the 20th century, most black folks were Republicans.
That's right.
One of the most influential black Memphians ever, Lieutenant George W. Lee, was a Republican. Robert Church was a Republican.
But you got to qualify why.
And I'm getting
right.
to that.
Go ahead.
Ben Hooks really
Right.
associated with Republicans.
Right.
And they did that because they were called Lincoln Republicans.
That's right.
Because they saw Lincoln as the one who emancipated them. And so that carried on for years after Lincoln's assassination in 1865.
Right.
It went on and on and on.
Right.
All right. But in the 1960s.
That's right.
Or actually late 50s, when the Republican Party locally, run by George W. Lee, they weren't doing what some very young Republicans wanted to have done. And so they took the party away from George W. Lee. I'm talking about people like Louis Donaldson, Bob James, who was on the city council, Harry Welford, who became a federal judge. They basically took the party away from George W. Lee because they wanted a more competitive Republican. Wasn't getting elected anything back then. And so they flipped the script. And people who had been Republicans became Democrats. Dixiecrats. And people who were Democrats, Dixiecrats, became Republicans. And that's how the thing flipped.
And that's where it is today.
So sometimes you hear people say, well, look at what the Democratic Party did to y'all back then.
Right.
Well, it wasn't the same Democratic Party.
Right.
These were people. I'm from Mississippi.
Right.
These were Senators Bilbo and Eastland and Stennis in Mississippi who were, they had Democratic label, but they were Dixiecrats and racists.
Right. Right.
And when they flipped the script with the 64, when Johnson gave us the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act.
Which he didn't want to do.
He did not want to do it.
He had to do it.
He had to do it. He knew it was right.
Right.
He had a good bone in his body.
He had to do it. I don't know about the good bone, but he had to do it.
bone over
Politics that forced him to, politics forced Lincoln to sign the Emancipation.
Politics, right. Lincoln said, hey, look, I can live with slavery.
Right. And so did
But I
everybody
can
know
live
it.
without slavery too.
Right.
But I want to keep the Union together.
Right.
That's what he did.
Yes, that's right.
And I think Johnson did
Yeah.
a lot of that too.
Yeah.
But Johnson, after the Edmund Pettus Bridge incident, Johnson had a change of heart. He said, no, we can't be treating people like this.
Right.
And so we got to pass the Voting Rights Act. Well, all that did was flip the script, turn Dixiecrats into Republicans,
Right.
and turn black Republicans into Democrats.
Right.
That's
Which
in the
is
book.
what we got today.
That's in the book.
That's good
I
stuff,
got
man.
full history lesson.
That is good stuff, man. Yeah. So look, we are not going to go into an hour and a half show today, but man, Otis Sanford, man, you got to come back on the show, man, because you are absolutely amazing, man. I think people sleep on you. Seriously.
The fact that you can tell Parkinson
but I think
speaks volumes.
Right.
Okay.
But Angelica, I think it's his fault because he's not really. You hold all of this knowledge, man. Get this shit out, man. We need you to get this shit out.
Well, I'll try.
Right. But you are. And I tell folks, and I only tell the people that deserve this, Angelika and Kojak. We have such talented people in our city, and a lot of times we just don't even know who we're standing next to, who we're sitting next to. Yeah, man. But this is amazing, man.
is.
Yeah, hey, y'all, from Boss Crump to King Willie, you make sure you go out and get it. Go out and get it today. And how can they get it? And how can they get in touch with you?
Well, they can get it easily with bookstores.
Okay.
There's Novel Bookstore, all the major bookstores.
Okay. Amazon.
I heard it
Amazon,
said
you can
major
get it.
bookstores. I heard that, right? Major.
Yeah, you heard that. Did you hear him?
Yeah, I heard
but-
Oh, he
yeah.
major.
I don't know if they're at the
You
minor.
gotta slide it in.
I don't know the answer to
It's
that.
okay.
I hear you, I hear you, Otis.
Right.
But most people go to Amazon.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, it has done very well.
Well, that is awesome, man. Y'all give it up for Otis Sanford in the building. Yeah, man.
Hey, this is Memphis Mayor Paul Young, and you are watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Powered by Black Market Strategies.